I'm 42, she's 41. We were married for 20 years. 2 kids, a decent house, nothing fancy, but it felt real. Or I thought it did. Our relationship wasn't fireworks. It was quiet, simple. We were the predictable couple in our friend group, the ones who didn't fight, didn't do drama. I always thought that was a good thing. We had routines. She'd wake up first, start the coffee. I'd shuffle into the kitchen, kiss her cheek, sit down to the smell of breakfast and the sound of the morning news in the background. She'd pack lunches, I'd get the kids ready, then work home, dinner, dishes, and a movie we never finished, because one of us always fell asleep. It wasn't exciting, but it was ours. It felt solid, like love in the real world, not the Hollywood version. We didn't say, I love you every day, but I always felt it in the way she'd reach for my hand under the table, or fall asleep with her head on my shoulder. Looking back now, I realize I confused comfort with connection. But at the time, I thought we were forever. It didn't happen overnight, that's the thing. At first, it was just subtle. She'd spend longer than usual staring out the window in the mornings. Not sad exactly, just somewhere else, lost in thought. Her phone was always on her. Not that she didn't use it before, we all do, but this was different. It was always within reach, always face down, silent. I noticed it, of course, but I didn't want to be that guy. The paranoid husband reading too much into it. So I told myself it was a nothing. She's tired. Maybe work is getting to her. Maybe hormones, midlife, seasonal depression. I gave myself a list of justifications, a catalog of excuses. I wanted to believe it was temporary. I needed to, because anything else would mean something was wrong, and I wasn't ready for that. So I kept quiet and told myself, this is marriage. You ride the low tides and you wait for the high ones. But the tide never came back. I started doing more around the house. Little things. I'd clean up before she asked. Made dinner a few times, even though I suck at it. Once I burned the chicken and undercooked the pasta. She smiled, said thank you, but I could tell it didn't land the way I wanted. I brought her flowers randomly one evening, not for a birthday, not for an apology, just because. She said they were beautiful, but the words felt rehearsed. We barely touched anymore. I'd reach for her hand during a movie and she'd gently pull away. Not coldly, not with malice. Just distance. Like a habit she didn't realize she had. She was leaving the house earlier in the mornings, coming home later. More, I'll be back soon, texts. More vague explanations I didn't question, because I didn't want to seem controlling. But deep down, I felt it. She was slipping through my fingers, like sand I was too afraid to grip, and I hated myself for pretending I didn't notice. But what do you do when the person you love is vanishing, and you don't know how to stop it? So I smiled, I kissed her goodnight, and I died a little more inside every day. It was a Thursday night. Nothing special about it. Kids were asleep. Rain tapped softly against the windows. I remember how quiet the kitchen was. The kind of quiet that makes your heartbeat sound too loud. She sat across from me at the table, hands wrapped around a mug of tea she wasn't drinking. And then she said it. I need to tell you something. Just like that. No build-up, no warning. I remember her voice was calm. Not cold, not cruel, just steady. There's someone else, she said. It was just once. I don't know why. I didn't plan for it to happen, but it did. I didn't say a word, didn't yell, didn't cry, didn't move. I just stared at her, like maybe if I didn't blink, this wouldn't be real. My ears were ringing, like I was deep underwater, everything distant. All I could think was, this is the moment. This is the exact second everything we built fractures. And she didn't cry. That was the part that hurt the most. I didn't yell. I didn't flip the table. I didn't throw her phone or demand names. I just stood up, grabbed my coat, and walked out the door. It wasn't even dramatic. I don't think she even tried to stop me. I didn't know where I was going. I just walked for hours through the neighborhood, past dark windows and glowing porches, past strangers laughing inside warm living rooms. And all I could think was, they still trust each other. They don't know how easily it can all disappear. I passed our old favorite coffee shop, the park where we used to push us strollers, places that used to mean something. Now they just made my chest ache. By the time the sun started to rise, I was cold, tired, and empty. I went home, not for her, for the kids, because they still needed something that resembled normal. But something inside me, it burned down that night, not with rage, with grief. The next few days were a blur. We still lived in the same house, slept in the same bed, though neither of us really slept. We moved around each other like ghosts. She'd make coffee in the morning like she always did. I'd drink it without saying a word. There was no big fight, no shouting, just silence. Heavy, choking silence. I remember watching her move through the kitchen one morning, the same way she had for years, and realizing I didn't know who she was anymore. Or maybe I never really did. The kids picked up on the tension. Of course they did. Kids always do. They didn't ask questions, but they watched us with these wide, careful eyes, like they were waiting for something to break. I didn't know what to tell them. Hell, I didn't even know what to tell myself. I kept thinking, she says, it was only once, but does that even matter anymore? Because trust doesn't bleed out. It snaps, like a wire pulled too tight for too long. A few nights after her confession, we sat down again. No rain this time, no cold tea, just two people sitting at opposite ends of a couch with a lifetime stretched between us. She said she was sorry, that it wasn't planned, that she didn't mean to hurt me. I asked her if she loved him. She shook her head quickly. No, she said. It wasn't about that. I wanted to ask then what was it about, but I didn't, because I was scared of the answer. Instead, I nodded, like an idiot, like someone trying to hold a crumbling wall together with duct tape and denial. She said she needed time to figure things out. I don't even know who I am anymore, she said. I've been a wife, a mom, but I feel like I don't exist as a person. I think that was when I really knew. She wasn't trying to fix this. She was trying to leave gently, and I just sat there, letting her go without saying it out loud. Because the truth was, I didn't recognize myself anymore either. It was our youngest who finally said it. He was sitting at the kitchen table eating cereal. I was pretending to read the news on my phone. She was across the room, packing lunch boxes like always. Same house, same morning, but the air felt thick, like grief was clinging to the walls. And then he asked, "Are you and Mom mad at each other?" My stomach dropped. I looked up at her. She froze, just for a second, then kept spreading peanut butter like nothing had happened. I smiled awkwardly. "No, bud, we're just tired." It was a lie. A small one, but still a lie. And I hated it, because I grew up in a house full of lies like that. Half-truths whispered behind closed doors while pretending everything was fine. I swore I wouldn't do the same to my kids, but there I was, spoon-feeding normalcy while everything inside me was unraveling. That day I realized something. Even when you try to protect them, They always feel the shift. They just don't have the words for it yet. Eventually, pretending stopped being an option. We both knew we couldn't keep living like this. Two strangers under one roof, tiptoeing around each other, passing off guilt and grief like folded laundry. We started talking logistics, not emotions, not healing, just cold, quiet planning. Who would stay in the house? What would we tell the kids? How would we split time, expenses, holidays? She cried once, quietly facing away from me. I almost put my hand on her back, the way I used to, but I didn't, because I didn't know if I was comforting her or trying to feel close again to something that wasn't there anymore. She said she didn't want a divorce, not yet. She wanted time, space. I need to find myself, she said. And maybe she meant it. Or maybe it was just easier to call it a journey than what it really was, the end of us. All I knew was I couldn't keep living in the in-between. Not husband, not stranger, just placeholder. I left before she did. It wasn't a dramatic exit. No slammed doors, no shouting match. Just me, standing in our bedroom with an open suitcase and the dull ache of finality in my chest. I stared at my side of the closet. Shirts I hadn't worn in months. A tie from our last wedding anniversary dinner. A hoodie she used to borrow when she was cold. I folded everything slowly. Not because I was sentimental, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Every shirt felt like a memory. Every drawer was a goodbye I hadn't rehearsed. She came in once while I was packing. We both froze. She said, "You don't have to go yet." I said, "I do." Because staying would have killed me. Not literally, but piece by piece, day by day. Staying meant waking up beside someone who no longer reached for me, who no longer chose me. So I packed my bags and left. Not because I stopped loving her, Mao, but because I finally started loving myself just enough not to stay where I wasn't wanted. I thought being alone would be quiet, peaceful even. It wasn't. That first night in the apartment, the silence felt loud. No footsteps down the hall, no soft hum of her brushing her teeth, no light creeping under the bedroom door where she used to stay up reading. Just me, a mattress on the floor, two garbage bags of clothes, and a half-eaten dinner I didn't remember cooking. I kept checking my phone, like she might text. She didn't. I sat in the dark for a while, just sitting. No TV, no music, just this heavy, aching stillness. Funny how you spend years fantasizing about a weekend to yourself, and when you finally get it, all you want is your old life back, even if it wasn't perfect, even if it was already broken. That night I didn't cry, not out of strength, out of numbness. I was too empty to feel anything fully, but I slept, and when I woke up, she wasn't there, and the world hadn't ended. Everyone talks about healing like it's a sunrise, like one day you'll wake up, feel lighter, breathe easier. That's not how it happened for me. It was messy, uneven. One step forward, two steps sideways. Some mornings I'd make coffee and feel okay for a few hours. Other mornings I'd open the fridge, see her favorite yogurt I accidentally bought out of habit, and spiral for the rest of the day. I started journaling, not because I'm that kind of guy, I know, but because my thoughts wouldn't shut up unless I gave them somewhere to live. I took walks. I started going to the gym, mostly to exhaust myself enough to sleep. People kept telling me, focus on yourself. But when you've been us for 20 years, it's hard to remember who yourself even is. Still numb. Somewhere in the quiet, I found slivers of peace. Not happiness, not yet, but peace. And sometimes that's enough for now. In the beginning, they asked a lot of questions. Are you and mom just taking a break? Will you live with us again? Did something bad happen? I never gave them the full story. Not because I wanted to lie, but because they're kids. They don't need to carry the weight of adult choices yet. So I gave them pieces, gentle ones. We both still love you. We're just trying to figure things out. You didn't do anything wrong. They held on to hope longer than I did. Every pickup, every drop off, I could see it in their eyes, waiting for a sign that things were going back to how they used to be. But then one day they stopped asking, stopped hoping out loud, just accepted it. And that broke me in a different way, because part of me wanted them to keep hoping, even if I knew it wasn't realistic. When they stopped believing we could be fixed, it was like the last nail in the coffin. That was the day I realized our family hadn't just been split. It had been redefined, and somehow we'd all have to live inside this new version of it, whatever that meant. It's been over a year now. The apartment has furniture. The coffee mugs don't remind me of her anymore. The silence somehow has become a friend. We talk occasionally, about the kids mostly. Birthdays, school meetings, logistics. It's civil, muted, like former colleagues who once worked on the same dream. She's still finding herself, whatever that means. Maybe she already has. I don't ask. And as strange as it sounds, I don't hate her. For a long time, I thought I would. I wanted to, because hate gives you somewhere to put the pain. But eventually, that fire runs out of fuel. And what's left is quieter, sadder, more real. She made a mistake. She broke something we'd spent years building. But I wasn't blameless either. I let us drift. I stopped noticing. I thought routine was enough. The truth is, we both stopped showing up. She just acted on it first, and now I understand some endings don't come with villains, just two people who got lost at the same time. Some days I still think about what we had, the mornings, the little routines, the soft comfort of shared silence that at the time felt like peace, but maybe was just distance. But I'm not stuck there anymore. I'm learning how to cook for one. I'm getting better at being alone without feeling lonely. I'm seeing a therapist, something I would have laughed at years ago. I even signed up for a pottery class. I'm terrible, but it's oddly calming. I don't know what comes next. I'm not in a rush to figure it out. I just know I'm not the same man I was. And maybe that's okay, because sometimes life doesn't give you a clean reset. It just gives you the wreckage, and you figure out what you can rebuild from it. I thought we were forever. We weren't. But I'm still here, and maybe that's enough for now. Thanks for reading. If you've ever been where I've been, I see you. You're not alone.